Welcome. Today we're going to talk about something pretty wild. We're breaking down how a top-tier cyber weapon, something that was once the exclusive tool of sophisticated spies, made its way from the shadows and into the hands of common cybercriminals, threatening businesses everywhere. So let's just jump right in. We're starting with a massive warning that really affects the foundation of modern IT. You see, there's a vulnerability in VMware's ESXi. That's the software that runs countless virtual servers for companies all over the world, and it's become a very clear and very present danger. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the immediate threat. This isn't some theoretical problem that might happen down the road. Nope, this is happening right now. And there it is, straight from the top. CISA, which is the U.S. government's main cybersecurity agency, has officially put this on their list of known exploited vulnerabilities. This isn't just a rumor, it's official confirmation. Ransomware gangs have weaponized this flaw and are using it to hold corporate data hostage. So, what is it that makes this vulnerability so incredibly powerful? Well, to really get it, we need to talk about this idea of escaping a virtual prison. Okay, think of it like this. A virtual machine, or a VM, is like a secure, totally isolated apartment inside a huge building. Now, the building itself is the server, what we call the hypervisor. A VM escape is basically like a tenant finding a secret way to break out of their locked apartment and seize control of the entire building's master systems. You know, the electricity, the water, literally everything. It is a total takeover. Now, what's really crazy here is that this isn't just one flaw. It's actually a chain of 3 different flaws, all working together in perfect, destructive harmony. The first one leaks information, which helps the attacker aim their shot. The second one, and this is the critical one, lets them run their own code. And the third is the final blow, escaping the sandbox to take over the server's core, the kernel. It's a devastating 1-2-3 punch. So you might be wondering, how in the world did anyone find this thing? Well, the story reads pretty much like a digital detective novel. It all kicks off with what looked like a pretty routine breach, but the investigators over at the security firm Huntress, they realized pretty quickly that they had stumbled onto something way more advanced. The attackers weren't just using standard tools, they were using something nobody had ever seen before. In this timeline, man, this really shows you the danger of what we call a zero-day exploit. The evidence suggests the original creators were using this weapon secretly as early as February 2024. VMware didn't release a patch until over a year later. That is a huge window where this powerful tool was being used in complete secrecy. So who was behind this? Well, the attackers left behind some fascinating clues, like digital fingerprints. Researchers found simplified Chinese strings and development paths right there in the code, which suggests a well-resourced, probably Chinese-speaking group spent a long time building this weapon. This was not the work of some small-time criminal. This points toward a nation-state level operation. Okay, so we know who might have built it. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. How did they actually pull off such a complex attack? I gotta say, it's a masterclass in offensive hacking. The attackers used this incredibly sophisticated tool they called MAESTRO, and it's perfectly named because it just orchestrates the entire attack with surgical precision. It disables security, loads the exploit, triggers that 3 vulnerability chain to escape, and then installs its own hidden backdoor. And to top it all off, it cleans up after itself to avoid being found. It's unbelievably slick. But here's the really, really clever part. Their backdoor, which they named VSOK Puppet. You see, most security tools are looking for suspicious traffic entering or leaving a network, right? But this thing was designed to be a ghost. It communicates directly between the compromised virtual machine and the server it's running on. That traffic never touches the external network, so it just flies completely under the radar of most security tools. And this is where the story takes a really alarming turn, because this isn't just about spies and secret government tools anymore. This is where it starts to affect everyone. Just look at this number, 155. That's how many different builds of VMware ESXi this attacker's toolkit was built to hit. This wasn't some niche weapon for a single target. It was designed for widespread use from the very beginning. That shows you just how massive its potential impact was. And that right there is the core takeaway from all of this. These super advanced cyber weapons, the ones developed by nations for espionage, they don't stay secret forever. Eventually, they leak, they get stolen, or they're reverse engineered. They trickle down into the criminal world, where they get repurposed for one thing: making money. What was once a spy's scalpel is now a criminal's sledgehammer. So it leaves you with a pretty sobering thought, right? This one exploit was active out in the wild for more than a year before it was even discovered. It really forces us to ask a difficult question about this hidden digital arms race that's happening every single day. How many other weapons just like this are out there right now, just waiting in the shadows?